for Klimatfrukost. And this morning, we will actually do for the first time this climate breakfast in English, because we're very happy to do this in collaboration with Viable Cities sibling program in Spain, Cities 2030. And the theme of today's climate breakfast is about leadership and capacity building for climate neutral cities 2030. And as most of you know, everything that we talk about in these climate breakfasts has to do with our common mission of becoming climate neutral by 2030. And how do we accelerate this transition in cities? And Cities 2030 and Viable Cities are doing basically the same thing in Spain and in Sweden. And together, we're both involved in the mobilization at the EU level as well, in the cities mission or climate neutral cities 2030 at the EU level. So this is a real pleasure to have this discussion in English with our colleagues from across Europe. So first, we're going to explore together with the cities of Valencia and Stockholm how they have handled the climate transition and how to accelerate this process in terms of leadership, organization, and capacity building. And with us today, we have 4 guests. We have Jordi Peris, who is from Valencia City Council, Eneqvist from the city of Stockholm, Miguel Soberón, who is from UPM, the University in Madrid, and Kateryna Pereverza from KTH in Stockholm. So first, with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Jordi from Valencia. Jordi, welcome.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
So could you tell us a little about how are you handling these things around capacity building and leadership in the process that you're in Valencia? And tell us a little bit about who you are and what your role is.
Well, thank you very much, Asa, and thank you for the invitation to be here. It's a real pleasure for me to be here sharing our experiences and learning from all the work that you have been doing in Viable Cities. Well, I'm Jordi Peris. I'm General Coordinator of Urban Strategies in the city of Valencia. I belong to the Mayor's Cabinet. So my role in the municipality is to organize and coordinate all the issues related to urban strategies. And since 2 years ago, more or less, I'm also responsible for the climate mission in the city. When we embraced this mission orientation approach around 2 years ago, that we started to work with this approach, one of our main concerns was how to mainstream that approach, not only within the municipality, but also to engage other stakeholders from the ecosystem of the city, public administration, academia, civil society, companies, private sector, etc., etc. So, I mean, although from the very beginning, the mission project was promoted from the innovation department. From the very beginning, we realized that we needed to open the approach and to link with other more cross-cutting organizational elements or organizational instruments that we were working in. For that reason, what we did was to link and to merge the mission orientation innovation approach that we were working in with the other instrument that we were working and starting at this moment, that was the development of our urban strategy. In fact, I'm the responsible for the urban strategy, the Valencia 2030 urban strategy, which of course is based on the SDG, the urban agenda, etc., etc. And we were developing this urban strategy, and then we incorporated the mission innovation approach. In fact, we were working together with the central government, with the Spanish government, and we proposed a pilot project in order to bring these 2 approaches together. The strategies based on the urban agenda principles and the urban agenda goals, Spanish urban agenda goals, merge that elements with the innovation approach. And that was how we tried to mainstream this kind of climate mission innovative approach of in developing policies to our other more cross-cutting and cross-cutting instruments. So we found that this was really mutually beneficial and we developed this pilot project, and then we defined all our strategic framework with 12 strategic lines, 48 strategic goals, 30 action programs within our action plan, etc. And all these elements from our urban strategy are linked to the climate mission. Somehow we have analyzed how this action plan, how all the programs of our action plan can contribute to the climate mission that we are developing within this program of the 100 climate neutral cities in Europe. So that's how.
Yet it's very, very interesting to hear that you kind of worked with mobilizing the stakeholders in the city and the national level, and trying to align this with the kind of mobilization of the EU level at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it's a really holistic way of going about it.
Yeah, that way we try to align all the policies of the city council. We are trying to align. This is a work in progress nowadays. I don't want to be too optimistic because it's of course a very difficult task, because you know that the municipalities are organized in very fragmented department, very differentiating the issue of silos, etc. But that's the way we have tried to to align all the different policies that we are developing. And I want to extend more, maybe we can develop it further later, but something that has become really important at the internal organizational level has been the creation of informal working spaces. The creation of working groups. I mean, we have progressively been joining different departments from within the municipality, departments related, of course, with climate change, with data management, with participation, with open data, etc., etc. We have built a team within the municipality. And in fact, we join on Fridays. Every Friday morning is our mission day. Okay. All people from the different departments in the municipality come together. We have a core group, I would say. And depending on the topics that we need to address each Friday, we invite, if we are working in urban regeneration, we invite people from shelter or from urbanism. Depending on the topic, we particularize that session. But we keep our weekly day devoted to the mission, and it's for me it has been important to keep this space as a little bit informal. I mean, it's not a formalized space. I mean, it's not weird. I mean, we invite people, we discuss, we address the issues, and then each department continue working on their daily basis. But somehow we are bringing them on board to the mission project.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you so much for now, Jordi. And I'll invite you back later. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite Eneqvist from the city of Stockholm. So I guess that jogs your kind of thinking to hear from Valencia. But if you were to kind of explain how you work with leadership and capacity building in the city of Stockholm, Erika, and explain a little bit who you are.
Yes, thank you, and good morning, everyone. Nice to be here and talking about capacity and leadership, because I think that's really necessary to move forward with. I'm kind of new to the city of Stockholm. I've started to work within the city executive office just, I think it's 7 weeks ago. So, but I've been following the city development and the organization for 6 years as a PhD student. So I finished my thesis on capacities or experimental governance this spring. So I kind of created my own job, I think, during my work. But my critique in my thesis was that you need to work more with the capacity and the leadership and connect the leadership and the organization with different projects going on. And that's the case right now, what we are trying to develop, and things that's happened the last 2 years, I would say, before as well. So it's not that I'm trying to move into the city and start to work. So, but for a long time, we've worked on sustainable projects and sustainability and collaborations with academia and the business partners around the city. But it's been, I would say, fragmented and in some ways also ad hoc. And we have realized that we need to develop a more mission-oriented collaboration and put the mission in the center and organize our previous work around climate neutrality instead of just shaking hands with the universities or with the business partners. We need to kind of develop the collaboration together, but with the mission of climate neutrality or any other missions that's going on as well, to kind of integrate the challenges in a much clearer way. So that's what we're doing right now. And the other thing is that we have worked very project focused in urban development projects and with a lot of innovation going on and a lot of good project results, I would say, but we have problems of scaling it and we have problems with implementation within the city, because we always hope that it will work by itself. So the thing now is that we try to organize their work to make use of both the project results, but also be sure that the projects that we are involved in are the most relevant ones. And this involves all the departments. So it's not just like a city executive office that do this. It's necessary that, for example, the traffic department, they need to do their work at the department level, and then we kind of combine the departments and together with our academic partners as well. So if you would talk about portfolio strategies, I think that's what we could think of, that we're trying to develop that. I'm not sure if the portfolio word is something that we will keep, but still, it's the thing that we work on.
Great, thank you so much, Erika. And that is really, really interesting, because we're going to hear a little bit more about portfolios just in a minute. So I thank you for now, Erika. I will invite you back in a while. So then I'd like for our two researchers that we have with us in this climate breakfast, Miguel Soberón, who is a researcher at Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, UPM in Madrid, and Kateryna Pereverza, who is a researcher at KTH, Royal Institute of Technology here in Stockholm. We are very pleased to have you working on researching the work that we are doing in the climate transition work in cities, within Viable Cities and in CDS 2030. So firstly, Kateryna and Miguel, I'd like you to shortly just introduce yourselves and what your research is about. How about you start, Miguel?
Yes, thank you very much, Rosa. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm Miguel Soberón. I'm a researcher at the Technical University of Madrid, and I'm a PhD candidate on the role of transition intermediaries to accelerate sustainability transition. I think we
So
will
very
talk a bit
relevant
later
for
about-
the work.
Yeah.
Intermediary organizations, what can those be? Just to be a little bit kind of...
Yeah, intermediary organizations are expert organizations on building collaborations. And this can go from very simple collaboration between two organizations, for example, or between like hundreds of organizations, institutions at different administrative levels. And it's always with the goal of accelerating the sustainability transition.
Okay, thank you, Miguel. Kateryna, so who are you and what is your research about?
Yes, morning everyone. Also very happy to join today. I'm Kateryna Pereverza. I'm a researcher. I'm working in KTH, Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. And my research field is transition study, urban transition governance, and particularly this last 3 years, I'm collaborating with viable cities and focusing on so-called transformative portfolio approaches for urban transition governance. And this is very much connected to this narrative of addressing drawbacks of projectification. So I will talk a little bit more about it soon.
Great, great. So if you could just explain a little bit, maybe you first, Miguel, about the studies you're doing and how that relates to the work of Stockholm, Valencia, and other cities, and the importance of these intermediary organizations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I'm researching now is how can intermediaries support municipalities to develop collaboration capability. And I think that's a very important capability because as we are seeing with the examples of Valencia and Stockholm, very often the mission suppose like an organizational challenge, no? And especially how to collaborate not only within your own municipality, but also with other organizations. And I know better what Valencia is doing, and I think they are very, very developing this context of collaboration with other organizations. But unfortunately, it's not the case for all the cities in Spain, for example. So what I would say, or what I'm learning through my research, is that organizations, especially public sector organizations, need to focus a lot in developing internal capabilities for collaboration. And that is not something that you can acquire very simply, like it's not something you can acquire through a book or through a course, but it's something that you learn while you collaborate with others. So that's why some insights that Jordi gave are very important, because he said that they found like a cross-cutting instrument where they can put different areas of the municipality and different organizations to work together and start aligning. And that's building like informal context or informal working spaces, he said, where people start experiencing collaboration. And maybe at the first time we get to like very simple or transactional or basic collaborations, but little by little they are gaining their capabilities. And sometimes if you have internal facilitators of that, it's a huge work. But sometimes municipalities need the support maybe of transition intermediaries that can support them in building those collaborative contexts.
And those kinds of collaborative intermediaries can be like programs like Viable Cities and Cities 2030?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's the main role of organizations like Viable Cities and Cities 2030.
Thank you, Miguel. And Kateryna, if you would explain what is your research about in relation to the development of the climate transition in Valencia, Stockholm, and all these other cities?
Yes, I was actually took just now many notes because many things which both Jordi and Erika brought were super relevant. And I think Erika already explained quite well what is the portfolio approach. And I would say that I think maybe it's important to say that how it emerged, all this portfolio thinking. I'm also now more and more talking about portfolio thinking because it's maybe broader and you can apply it to different elements, because, for example, Jordi was talking about different policy instruments, how they can be more like a portfolio, or you can talk about activities or interventions, how you think about them from a portfolio perspective, right? So you're kind of applying this portfolio thinking, but maybe you have different elements in your portfolio, or maybe elements of different nature a part of your portfolio. But what I wanted to say is about this beyond projectification narrative, which I think is important, that it's this projectification that we are organizing our activities as projects is a kind of phenomenon of the entire society. And it's not only affecting one sector or one type of activities, but everyone. We know this from academia very well, how our activities get projectified. But also what is important, that it's projectification of funding system. And we see this kind of reinforcing loop, that funding system, it continue to encourage us to package our activities as projects. And I think that's why it's also important what like Viable Cities is doing, and other intermediary actors who are trying to address also this on the financial side, and to kind of broke this loop to make it to introduce those ideas, how we can think from portfolio perspective also in connection to financial flows, and how funders can be more maybe strategic in allocation resources and this kind of thing. So I think it's also important to think about capacities, not only maybe in municipalities, but also in this kind of actors who can contribute to more portfolio based approaches in transition governance. Yeah, I can talk more about this. I just don't want to occupy the floor.
Yeah, I'd like to invite all of you actually back. And if I think that Rohan from Kalmar has a question, but everyone who is here in the meeting is free to post questions in the chat, and we'll try to take them up. But you had a question, Rohan, and can you make that question a little bit more explicit? So the context of the question, please.
Yes, sorry. Actually, I was just trying to follow her really good talk about her studies. And she said that she named the system twice, and I could not get what she said. There was a system that you named.
SME.
SME?
No, you're posing your question to Kate.
Yes, sorry,
Kateryna,
because Erika was also talking about her research. So system. I think we are using this a lot. Maybe this is our bias from research, that we are used to see cities as a kind of system of systems. That we can talk about different socio-technical systems in cities. We can relate them to certain sectors. We can talk about mobility system, basically socio-technical system, which provide mobility of people and goods in the city. Okay. We can talk about it as a system, but usually we are saying that the cities, they are kind of mainly interconnected systems. So it's all this complexity and dynamics, which we need to account for as much as we can, of course, because sometimes you need to put certain boundaries and act within them, but it's good to understand that you are putting those boundaries and what are the implications.
Thank you so much for clarifying, Kate. Thank you. I think that is kind of why this is so complex, because cities are systems of systems. This is why we need to kind of explore new ways to kind of transform our cities towards sustainability. So a lot of cities are mobilizing in Sweden, in Spain, across the EU and worldwide to make this transition that we need to climate neutrality and sustainability go faster. And if you were to kind of summarize, what are some of the most important things to consider for all these cities who are now mobilizing to become climate neutral? What do you think are some of the things that you should think about when you consider leadership and capacity building as a component of what we need to do to be more kind of impactful in the way we transition cities? Would you like to start, Jordi?
Yeah. I would like to elaborate according to some of the ideas that have been mentioned, because I think it's really good to listen to other cities like Erika from Stockholm, and to see how we share the main concerns. For instance, when she talked about the idea of pilot projects and what Kateryna mentioned about the projectified society in which we live in, Yeah, I mean, this is something that we also face. I mean, and live in Valencia, because I mean, somehow, okay, we have a lot of experience doing pilot projects, but we need to move from pilot projects to embedding innovation in our organization. That, I mean, that's the real challenge for me. I mean, we know how to do pilot projects. We know we have a lot of experience. But when it comes not only to upscaling or replicating, but we need to to extract learnings from that projects and then transform our organizations. That's the real challenge. Our public organizations, particularly. That's the real challenge for me. Being able to extract that, to enable the transformational potential of this pilot project, and this is a challenge that I think that we are facing. I fully agree with other ideas that Miguel mentioned before, the idea that we need to establish new forms of collaboration, and this is a learning by doing process. I mean, we cannot learn to do it through a course or through reading a book. I mean, we need to experience that, and we need to make mistakes. Because there are a lot of barriers for that. There are a lot of political barriers, technical barriers. I mean, we live in a projectified society, but we also live in a siloed society. I mean, not only in the administration, but the specialization, for instance, of academia. I mean, we have experts in mobility, we have experts in energy, we have experts in agriculture and food, but we need to make all of them come together into a shared and coherent framework. And that's another great challenge that for me is, I mean, it's essential, and you have mentioned that before. And according to the idea of the portfolio of project, I think it's also the approach, but in Valencia we have moved from the idea of a portfolio of projects, because we have a portfolio in the city council, to the idea of a constellation of projects, because we feel that to develop and to work according to the mission approach, I mean, it's something that we are not going to do alone. We need to mobilize the whole society. So we need to talk about a constellation of projects that we cannot that we are not going to manage, because
so it's not about the city. It's not only about the city.
Exactly. We manage our portfolio of projects, but we enable somehow or promote a constellation of projects which is aligned with the mission. And that's very, very related with the idea of leadership. In Valencia, we like to talk about the idea of distributed leaderships. Our task is to enable the emergence of different kinds of leaderships in the city. Private sector leaderships, academia leaderships, etc., and let them grow and let them gain force, because there are many things that we are not going to be able to do. And just to put an example on that, we have an extraordinarily good relation with the Politécnica University of Valencia, and from when we launched the initiative of the climate mission within the European project of the 100 climate neutral cities, the Politécnica University of Valencia joined us and took their own role and launched their own project of developing a climate living lab in the university campus. So this is a project from and they are developing an extraordinary leadership on that topic. Of course, we are coordinated, we are working together, but this is not a project of the city council anymore. This is a project of the university. We work together, but it's them who are exercising this kind of leadership. And that's the kind of things that I think that we need to promote in the city.
Thank you so much, Jordi. We're running out of time, actually, so we're going to be very, very short. So I'd like to ask you, Erika, Kate, and Miguel, just one thing shortly that you would like people to consider when working with climate transition with regards to leadership and capacity building. One short say from each of you. Miguel.
I would encourage a lot in investing time and resources in this first stages in build context where organizations can build mutual trust, can communicate a lot, and can can commit to each other in specific things. And I think that relational issue is very important from the beginning.
Build trust and relationships. Thank you. Kate.
Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe we all should encourage ourselves and everyone to see what we are doing as a part of a bigger thing. So to also have this kind of realizations that we are part of a system and how our activities are embedded in this, and to be more inclined also to be open to this collaboration and integration of our capacities and skills to address the mission together.
Thank you, Kate. And you, Erika?
Yeah, I'm thinking of involving the top management. This is not something for a project manager only, and be sure to have a vision and follow that, but step by step. So I think that's my point.
Thank you so much for participating. I think we had a question about the role of academia also from Alexei, but I encourage you to take these conversations further in the breakout sessions shortly. So thank you so much, Miguel, Kate, Jordi, and Erika for now.
Thank you very much.
And next climate breakfast will actually be very relevant to some of the topics that we touched upon today. And it will be about, you can take next, thank you. Next is on 19th of October, scaling sustainable solutions. So for those of you who are interested in joining us then, it's on the 19th of October. So now I say thank you for those of you who choose to leave us now. And for those of you who want to join in the conversations in the breakout session, please join your room and have the conversations that you find important, and we will gather around in just a short while just to hear some of the thoughts that came up. See you in a bit.